Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Awesome to see you all back once again in the game we all know and love with some World of Warships. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Bloop. Bloop. As I was saying, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Welcome in. We will be having our usual code giveaways during the stream being run by Short Aussie, so he will be dealing with all of that, not myself. But anyways, so to start, we will be watching CCPL Z against NCOTS for this first round. The bans for this game will be Alvaro de Bazan. Oh, wait, what? No. There you go. Kremlin and Ragnar. Sorry about that. I don't know why I did that. But just as a reminder, there is a limit of one Kremlin or one Ohio per team. You cannot bring two of either or one of each. There is also the same limit for Napoli and Petro, so you can only bring one Napoli or one Petro. You cannot bring two Petros, one Napoli and one Petro. That is not allowed. There's a two-ship limit for Napoli, for Moskvas and Nevskis. I'm not ready, in case you needed to know. But as I was saying, there is a two-ship limit for Moskvas and Nevsky, so you can bring two Nevskys or two Moskvas or one Moskva and one Nevsky. You cannot bring any more than that. For destroyers, it gets a little bit more complex. There is a maximum of 3 of either of Kleber, Ragnar, and Marceau combined, so you can bring one of each. 2 Klebers and a Ragnar, 2 Klebers and a Marceau, 2 Marceaus and a Ragnar. You get the idea. Or you can bring... But you cannot bring more than 2 of one ship, so you cannot bring 3 Klebers, 3 Marceaus, or 3 Ragnars. That is it for the ship bans. And alright. So this is best of what... This is a group stage, so they will only be playing one game each against each other. There will be one game against each other. It's not a best of 5. This is just so we can see the maps we will be watching today. We have 2 round 1 games, which will be played on Tears of the Desert, followed by a couple of round 2 games, which will be played on North, followed by one Sea of Fortune game, which will be played one round 3 game, which will be played on Sea of Fortune. And then one round 4 game, which will be Crash Zone Alpha. And to end it off, we have 2 round 5 games being played on Sleeping Giant. Alright, before we get going here, I will run our next maps intro really quick.
Off the North African coast, an arid expanse of the Mediterranean Sea plays host to opposing forces as they battle it out for control of the seas. Amongst these sun-blasted islands, where enemy fire isn't the only bad way to die, only one team will triumph. This is Tears of the Desert. Tears of the Desert is a 42 by 42 kilometer domination style map with 3 capture points running in a line from northwest to southeast. The A cap is in the top left, B is in the center, and C is in the bottom right. Capture Area A has enough island cover nearby for teams to sneak in a radar cruiser and cover the capture zone. In center, Cap B has superb island cover near the center that allows destroyers to contest the area from behind shelter. Capture Point C is similar to Capture Point A. There is enough cover for nearby cruisers who want to defend it, but very little cover in the cap itself. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play Tears of the Desert.
And alright, with that, we are going straight into the game. So for CCP LZ, we have Ohio, Conqueror, Des Moines, Golden Lion, Napoli, Moskva, Gearing, Clip Bear, and Vampire. On the other side, for NCOTS, we have Ohio, Conqueror, Goliath, Double Nevsky, Petropavlovsk, Double Gearing, and Mars. So this is going to be a pretty interesting lineup. On one side, you have that vamp. That vamp choice is pretty smart, actually, because it can actually play in... I'm expecting it to play somewhere in the Bravo cap. Given it has that long-range hydro, it can hydro quite a bit of the cap, if we see it right there. Wait, that's only for radar. But yeah, it has that long-range hydro crawling smoke, so it can shoot and kind of start running away. That's a nice goal. On the other side, we have double Gearings and Mars, so I'm expecting the Gearings to play with some sort of cruiser support right next to them. Please don't tell me we already have a reset. Nope, everything seems to be moving handily. Alright, let's go to how they will deploy here at the start, and welcome in Oz. I will not be replying instantly because we will be keeping an eye on the action. But anyways, for CCP LZ, we have Kleber, Moskva, Ohio going to the Charlie cap, Vampire, Golden Lion going towards Bravo. Des Moines is kind of holding back, it seems, trying to catch some sort of radar on that B cap a little bit. He will probably post up right over here, pointing his nose towards the Alpha cap. Meanwhile, at Alpha, we're going to have, as I was saying, that Des Moines, Gearing, Conqueror, and Napoli. On the other side, for NCOTS, we have Gearing going alone, wide of A. It doesn't look like they're going to contest it so much, which could be dangerous. This Alpha cap tends to be a big turning point for the map in general, because its ability to pinch all the way around from out there. He's being backed up by a Petropavlovsk. Petros actually seems to be going towards that Bravo cap. He doesn't seem to be going towards A. So that Gearing and Conqueror are going to be somewhat alone over there. Meanwhile, there's a Nevsky behind Bravo with a Marceau sitting there, who's going to be getting airstruck by the Golden Luz airstrikes. For Charlie, we have a Gearing, Ohio, Goliath, and Nevsky. I find it quite interesting that they have these 2 Gearings with a smoke screen, and I don't understand why you wouldn't bring another destroyer if you don't want that smoke screen. Something like a Shima, maybe, something of that kind. I think it would be a lot more appropriate because of the fact it will... it can get a little bit more torpedoes out, and you're not really using the smokes. So I was expecting to see those Nevskys played with smoke. This Goliath position is actually quite interesting. He's not that well covered. He is covered at the moment, and I guess there's not much that can shoot HE at him from here, but he is kind of stuck at the moment. So we have seen the Charlie cap flip over for NCOTS. Meanwhile, the Bravo cap was flipped by the Marceau early on for CCPLZ. And now he's just sitting there as the Golden Lion and the Vampire are there. We do see this Golden Lion creeping up, trying to get shots. on that Marceau. However, I feel like this could be dangerous if Ohio decides to poke out his nose. So yeah, now we see the Marceau backing up. Nevsky and Marceau getting shots out towards Golden Lion. Golden Lion gets a pretty decent chunk on that Marceau, and he's already been set on fire by either the Marceau or the Nevsky, whose shells hit pretty much simultaneously. This could be really dangerous for the Nevsky, though. Golden Lion's AP at this range can definitely work treats, and Nevsky was not that well angled, but he is starting to accelerate away, wanting to take no part in that. So far, it does look like CCPLZ is trading a little bit better health. As you can see, we now have a 45,000 hit point differential, which could be big later on. However, the gearing for NCOTS takes the Charlie cap, so now they have one cap ticking, which has been ticking for CCPLZ for quite a while. Now we see that Nevsky being pushed in with the smoke. This is what I was expecting to see. So we do see that smoke push, and I'm not surprised. There's not really much to get them out of there, other than that Moskva's radar, which is available, but I don't think it's in range. It is not. I can actually see it there. That Moskva does radar, but he doesn't spot anything at all. So CCPLC do not have any caps right now, but they did get that early Charlie cap, giving them some points. Alright, so Marceau has taken a chunk. That Golden Lion is in a really dangerous spot. We now see this Ohio being pushed up. There's nothing really to counter it there. As I was saying, it wasn't a little bit... I'm not a big fan of that position because it does kind of force you to do one thing or the other. But now he's doing great work on the Golden Lion. Meanwhile, CCPLZ finally gets into that alpha cap, which is pretty much uncontested. That Petro is hanging back with the Conqueror, but there was that gearing there and not much else. So it was a little bit of a surprise that we didn't see anything else happening. Oh boy, this could be bad. But anyways, that is beside the point. This is going to be tight if it goes like that, but alright, with that, CCPLZ does take that A cap and starts taking the Golden Line for CCPLZ was in a very dangerous spot, as we were mentioning before. He does get pushed by the Ohio. However, that was a huge health trade on the Ohio, who is now down to 45,000 hit points and healing 49. He's healing a little bit more. Shells are out on the Vampire, who's got open water gunboating with the Marceau. Big chunks from the Ohio, down to about a third health between that Marceau and the Ohio shells that came in a little bit earlier. This could be really dangerous if the Petro decides to radar. That Nevsky is definitely in radar range. However, the radar is down. I do believe he did radar the Vampire. If we can go here and see. No, he did not earlier. However, he is now free to push up without that Golden Line there. Petro is down to about half health. And now the hit point pool has evened out. And CCPLZ had about a 50,000 hit point lead. Now it is only down to about 20. So they have been doing pretty well with the trades. Let's see, what else is interesting? Not a big fan. I mean, that Nevsky position is pretty safe right now. The Kleber is not able to stay there because of the Nevsky being out here. And he's able to pretty much farm that Moskva for free. Let's see how he's doing with heals. He does not have a heal up and he does not have a damage control up. Heal for another 30 seconds, damage control for another 16, 15. And he's currently not on fire, but he's getting chunked by the Nevskys. Rapid firing guns. Meanwhile, CCPL NCOT's gearing is able to get into that A cap without much to contest him, other than the Napoli out wide. But the Napoli doesn't really have a lot of utility to be able to find that gearing. Meanwhile, the Des Moines has pushed into B, but that is a really dangerous position with the aggressive Ohio positioning taken by NCOTS. Now, Alpha and Charlie Cap are taking for NCOTS, who are now 150,000 hit points down. Their Mosque, their Petro is pretty low, and their Ohio is actually really low, which could be really, really bad in the long run. Meanwhile, the Moskva keeps getting chunked. He's currently running a heal. He only has one left after this, and he is pretty low, down to 11,000 hit points, 12,000. He does have his damage control ready. He does have his Kyder ready, but his radar just went down. The Des Moines of CCP LZ manages to take out Nevsky for NCOTS, which brings the points a lot closer together, but they're still 80,000 hit points down. And the Des Moines also takes out the Ohio. That is huge. That push from the Ohio was a little bit unnecessary, in my opinion. Yes, they wanted to get rid of that. Moskva is going to go down here to Marceau Torpedoes. Yes, he goes. There he goes, and now they are even on kills. However, CCPLZ's gearing is able to step into the Alpha Cat. And Oz will be running the giveaway. The Des Moines also takes out the Marceau. That is huge. However, they have traded a lot of health. Des Moines is really low. Vampire is really, really low. They are about to take... The Conqueror takes out the Des Moines for CCP LZ. However, the Petro is taking a beating right now from the crossfire between that Conqueror... That Conqueror? Yeah. The Conqueror and the Napoli on the other side. With his radar being down, he just used it to try and push out the gearing. However, he was not able to. Right now, CCP LZ is looking pretty strong. They have basically isolated a gearing and a Nevsky from NCOTS. The Nevsky taking a big, big chunk. Oh boy, this is going to be hit and run for the next thing. However, the Ohio for CCP LZ is also really low. Kleber is really low. At this point, the gearing could realistically take on that Kleber. Heal is about to go down for the Ohio. His Damacon is ready. He is taking one torpedo in the stern and goes down with that. That gives a one-ship lead back to NCOTS, with Kleber being spotted by the gearing, and this is just what I saw happening. Gearing gets caught on fire, uses his damage control down to 100 hit points, shells from the Nevsky, shells from the gearing coming in, shells from everybody, and he gets taken down by the gearing. That's a two-ship lead. However, at this point, CCPLZ holds the Bravo and the Alpha Cap. The Vampire 2 gets rid of the Petropavlos, which is big because that brings him within one kill and 200 points. Sorry if I literally just run for the next game, because we are on a tight schedule, but this is a pretty close game. PQRSDPP. How about a little bit greedy here. But we will make it work. Alright, let's see. Meanwhile, the Vampire is starting to make his way towards the gearing. However, he's much lower on health. At this point, NCOTS finally takes a lead in hit points by 10,000 hit points or so, which is not a big margin. And this Goliath being forced to push up into that Bravo Cap. They have nothing. They have a Nevsky stuck out here. They have a gearing. Granted, Nevsky did get chunked pretty badly at some point during the engagement. The Vampire starts farming the Conqueror. Conqueror tries a blind fire. Conqueror is burning, going through his last heal at this point. He is on fire. 14 seconds left in that heal. This could be a dead Conqueror before we know it. They are focusing him out. They know they gotta get rid of him. They know they gotta get below on heals. But we do see that. Meanwhile, the Goliath is able to flip the Bravo Cap, which brings NCOTS closer to victory. The gearing for CCPLZ gets caught by the Goliath, who takes a decent chunk from him. However, he will be able to now push into the cap, with the Nevsky unable to be too aggressive. Conqueror... Oh, Conqueror has a couple of heals left, but they are not coming back for a while. They are not coming back for another 100 seconds or so. And he is pretty low. That could be a dead Conqueror if they continue setting fires on him. And there you go. That is a fire, which he's damage controlled down for 40 seconds. And no, Conqueror is out of heals. Sorry, I misread that. And he's now burning. Damage control is out for a while. They gotta get something done. Alright, with 5 minutes left on the game clock. At this moment, NCOTS has a ship lead. They are down, however, 44,000 hit points. Shells going out towards Conqueror. The Conqueror for CCPLZ takes out the Conqueror for what we're looking at, who was pretty low for NCOTS. This Conqueror has 2 heals left, I believe. He does have 2 heals left. It's about to come up. Expect a big heal coming from him. AP coming out from the Conqueror on the Goliath. It seems to be good. That could be a very hurt Goliath. It is not. No citadels. Yep, Butters. I'm coming. Alright, 217. We'll give it a couple of minutes and then we will switch over. However, CCPLZ is able to step into that Bravo cap, slowing down the match, which is no bueno for the schedule. But carrying on, Goliath is forced to push back in, try to get into that Bravo cap once again. Yeah, let's see what happens here. Napoli gets spotted, smokes up, does not eat the torpedoes, dodges them all. But there goes the radar out from the Nevsky, which gets him spotted. Shells coming into the Napoli. They know they gotta get something done with that Goliath pushing in. Oh boy, this could be very, very bad. But this is a nail biter of a first game. Going down to the wire, 2 minutes 57 left on the clock. Two minutes 30 left on the clock. CCPLZ wins in 3:44. They currently are down 80 hit points. Hydro coming out from the Goliath. Conqueror is about to eat 1 torpedo from that Goliath. However, he does have that heal running. He does have damage control ready. That is big for him. Gearing, rushing this Goliath, trying to get torpedoes off on him. Big chunk on the gearing, however. Will the Goliath be able to dodge this and not trade out? He does. Gearing is on fire, down to 2,000 hit points. Gearing is in trouble here for his CCPLZ, down to 900 hit points, and he goes down. The gearing does go down. Goliath gearing able to take that cap. 1:45 on the clock. But anyways, we do have the Goliath and the gearing in Bravo. Goliath manages to take out the Conqueror as well. That gives a huge lead for CCPLZ, who are now 300 hit points. 300 points ahead of NCOTS. And unfortunately, we will be missing our next game. There you go. I cannot. Now Napoli takes a very big chunk. He hits torpedoes. He is really, really low, but they gotta do something. 32 seconds left on the clock. 40 seconds left on the clock. 32 seconds left for CCP LZ to lose this game 1. But anyways, gearing trying to get a smoke out. But this is a little bit ineffective. They gotta do something now. 39 seconds left on the clock. There is no way they can touch that C-cap. They gotta get kills out. Nevsky is really low. Goliath is really low. One of the gearings is really low. However, they do have a full health gearing. Now shooting at the Napoli. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And with that, NCOTS takes game number 1. This is very bad, very, very bad. Alright, but anyways, I will try to make it to another game. I cannot promise anything. Okay, Dr. Drunk. Okay, but anyways, I have one game number 1. Okay, let's go find us a game here really quick. Unfortunately, we could not make it to PN. To the PN against Goods game. Was looking forward to that one. And there goes the whole schedule. Fun times. But hey, that is a risk willing to take to attempt to prevent. Let me see if this battle has not started. Doctor. Let's see if this game hasn't started, if it hasn't. Ooh, never mind. That game is not gonna be a go. Alright, give me 2 seconds. I will try to find a game to do. If not, we will have to wait until our next game. Wow, that was a hell of a game to start with. I am really, really happy that this happened. And there goes the whole schedule. Hooray! That was a heck of a game. I did go a little bit tighter than I usually do on the games, but I do like to have that action pack. I'm not a big fan of just waiting around. So let me just see if I can find it. Anyways, let me see. Let's see if these guys have started. If they have, then we will have to wait a minute. And they have, unfortunately, for us. But anyways. Quite a game. Quite a game we did have right there. It was a great game. Quite a way to start. Sadly, I will be missing the PN game, but hey, I am sure we will catch them again at some point down the line. Next, what should be another quite exciting game, if you ask me. we will be having a round 2 game for group 3 of the Hanson brothers, I believe, against GGWP. And that will be in North. And welcome in, Lego. Welcome in, everybody who's watching. Once again, sorry I missed that game. It's just, I did go a little bit aggressive on the on the schedule. I did want to avoid any downtime. But anyways, at some point we will have some giveaways going. Right, so as I was saying, for the next game, let me go actually see if I can find the bands already for our next game. Our next game will be when next map. Our next game will be H against GG. Well played. This should be a pretty exciting game. They are pretty solid teams. I mean, most of the teams who made it through to this weekend are up there. Let's see. Okay, that is group 3. Let me see if I can find the thread. Alright. Let's go find the room. We'll get there early. Be nice and relaxed. But wow, what a way to start the game. And it was nip and tuck all the way. There wasn't a lot of downtime in that game. It just kept going from one side to the next and bouncing. It was great. It was really close and exciting stuff. I really think something that did hurt enable spec doors. Somebody forgot to enable the spectators. But anyways, as I was saying, that was a really close game. It was kept coming back and forward and back and forward and coming and going. Quite assy. But anyways, we will be watching North next. What do I expect to see in this game? I do expect 3 destroyers. At the very least, maybe a 4th one thrown in the mix. To contest, play with all the caps, as well as playing down the 10 line. However, you can successfully bring this Charlie destroyer out if it is uncontested. So I do expect this to be pivotal. What tends to happen in this game, it tends to be just like a shooting match at range here in the Alpha Cap, the left side of the map, with a cruiser to just hanging out, defending that Bravo Cap, maybe a destroyer trying to poke its nose in there. And then the big action tends to happen down the 9-10 line with a push coming from one way to the other. They're just waiting for the teams. All right, then let's go ahead and search. All right. All right. So we need here group. Sorry, I'm just looking for the bands for this game, and that is quite expected for this map. To be honest, Ragnar is a really, really strong ship. Let me make sure I get the bands the right way around. So, and Ragnar. So far, every match we've seen, even the match we could not see of PN, did get have seen the Ragnar come in. Right now we're just waiting on the GG well played guys to come in. Wow, hopefully we get another nail biter of a game after we missed the last one, which I'm sure has also been a monster of a game. Alright. I gotta love the chaos of these cuts day. And welcome in Arldacio. And thank you very much to everybody who has followed throughout the stream. I can't really keep up. Oh, whoops. I need to disable something really quick. Give me 2 seconds. Thank you, Oz. Alright. Yes, again, sorry about this delay. I did go a little bit aggressive. We do have a couple of those crazy moments coming up. Don't you worry, it's the first one, but it's not the last one. AKA every game except for like 2 are run on a pretty tight schedule, but I'm not a big fan of having downside. Fingers crossed we start just like minutes early. Anyways, there's a giveaway. It gives you a couple of COTS camels, as well as it has a couple of COTS camels along as an economic bonus package of some description. I honestly don't remember the level. What did I do with? Alright, give me 2 seconds, I need to go find something, and I'll be back in just a second. Alright, sorry about that, I just had to check up on something. Something. Ready whenever. Hopefully we can get a bit of an early start for this game. But anyways, I'm gonna throw you over to the map preview. See you back in a minute.
The rocky shores of the North Sea are the setting for a titanic clash of enemy fleets. These tall evergreens and mossy rocks will soon bear witness to the deafening sounds of battle as two teams vie for dominance. This is North. North is a 48 by 48 kilometer domination style map with 3 cap points running in a line from west to east. Cap A on the left is the most open and accessible on the board. There are plenty of ways in and out for destroyers, but there aren't many places for radar cruisers to hide nearby. As the smallest capture area on the board, the most common access to Cap B in the center comes from due north or south, but there is access via a small channel between the islands on the eastern edge and 2 channels on the western edge. Further to the east, Cap C has a single small island that can provide some cover for ships brave enough to reach it, but there's enough island cover nearby to conceal radar cruisers from multiple directions. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play North.
Alright. So, as you all heard, we do have oh yeah, for sure. It's not a surprising ban at all. Ripone 77. It's something that I would expect. It's a really, really strong cruiser. It has heals. It has a survivability. It has a rate of fire. It has honestly a lot of things going for it. It has a really, really large amount of things. But anyways, off we go. We will be going a couple of minutes early, which is good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. But anyways, the teams are ready. We are currently dropping into the game. So for the bans this time around, as I was saying, we have Ragnar once again, along with Marceau. And this is something that should not surprise anybody for this map, because as we were talking, that 19 push is really effective, especially with those high-speed destroyers. And right now, not that they usually see more, but you're only limited to 2 Klebers, which have worse concealment. And even though they do have that reload booster, their DPM is a little bit lower. But off we go into our second game of the day, round 2. H against GG. Well played. Alright, on the side of H we have Ohio, Burgoyne, Moskvin, Nevsky, Petropavlov, Stalingrad, Daring, Double, Shima. On the other side for GG. Well played, we have Vermont, Preußen, Worcester, Minotaur, Yoshino, Stalingrad, Daring, Z52, and Yu Yang. Minotaur is not a surprise in this map. It's very often played right behind the Alpha Cap. It's quite effective for that. Why did that not turn off? Ah! Sorry, 2 seconds. Whoop. There you go. Indeed, it's a really strong pick. It has a lot of things going for it. Big guns. Reloads pretty fast. It's not slow, and it has a survivability. It can very comfortably fight destroyers. As Lego is saying, it does get those cruiser guns. Yes, unfortunately, you will be hearing this 5 minutes later. But anyways, we see the first couple of ships getting spotted. Shells out from the Vermont towards the Ohio, and nothing much comes out of it. Petro gets shots out on the Minnow. This is a very interesting strategy. This is not a radar minnow, as probably everybody on the H team was expecting. And myself, I was expecting that to be a radar minnow. However, this is most definitely a smoke minnow. It looks like this Z52 position is pretty interesting. It looks like it might be looking to get torpedoes out on whatever tries to push towards the B cap, which it seems like they are doing successfully. All right, let's go to those initial deployments now that they are very well laid out. Okay, so for H, we have gearing Stalingrad heading towards Charlie with backup, I'm expecting, from that Moskva. Meanwhile, the Shimakaze has taken the Bravo cap and is now out completely unharmed. Ohio is towards the Alpha cap and cruising towards Charlie now. Burgoyne, Nevsky, Petropavlovsk, and the second Shimakaze are in A and have taken that A cap. This could be big towards the end of the game if we see the game play out because of those points. But anyways, on the other side, for GGWP, we have the Z52 Yuyang, Minotaur, and Worcester going towards the Charlie cap. They're completely letting that B cap tick, which, again, can be dangerous later on. We do see that Yu Yang smoking up the Worcester and the Minnow smoking himself up. Stalingrad and Poison Ball behind the cap, just defending it. It looks like this could be a holding flank. However, on the other side, we see a Yoshino, a Daring, and a Vermont. Quite unusual ships for this type of game. They don't really have a lot of radar power, close-in radar power. And it doesn't look like they are using it. However, GGWP is doing a crazy health trades. They're currently nearly 90,000 hit points down when we are only 4 minutes into the game. That's crazy. That's what these top teams do. At the end of the day, sometimes they are willing to give up that map control. They are willing to give up points when they know they can trade better than the enemy. And this is what they are showing right now. They're willing to wait until they set themselves up before they make moves so the whole team can work as a unit and push. Whereas sometimes less experienced teams tend to want to get to those cap points a little bit too quickly. And this is a very big point to that. We already see the Stalingrad down to half health. He's currently healing. His damage control is down for another minute, basically, which could be really dangerous for him. His heal just runs out. And we do see quite a few ships taking a beating here. The Moskva is forced way back. He might have it in some Z52 torps. He's also down to half health. Just stopped. Burning heal is down. Radar is down. Hydra is down. Pretty much everything is down except for that damage control. It's a bit of everything. Here we see the Z52 starting to rotate back towards that Bravo cap. I think they have seen Shimakaze or the Shimakaze torpedoes coming in towards them somewhere, and they know that that Bravo cap is completely uncontested, and they will take. However, GGWP's flank at the A cap has been pushed all the way pretty much to the I line where they have Vermont and Yoshino. With Daring only in the G line, they are bringing them into some sort of ambush, is my expectation. So right now, 3 caps ticking for H. Wow, they have already built up a 300-point lead. There goes the radar out by the Stalingrad. It does catch the Z52 very, very briefly. Moskva does have his radar ready, but Z52 is not in range. Z52 will be able to take this cap. The Yu Yang will have to wait. Torpedoes going out towards the Stalingrad, who is still detected. Yu Yang is completely out of radar range. That Stalingrad is in trouble, and this is where we're going to see GGWP start making their push. Yes, it might seem like they're down. They're 350 points down. However, look at the trades. They're 130,000 hit points. And there you go. Yu Yang torpedo does catch out the Stalingrad, trying to run away with booster shells coming towards him. Meanwhile, we see the Preußen Stalingrad, who, let's remember, they went all the way out here. They were up at the I line when they were coming across. The reason for that, to avoid getting detected and prevent taking too much damage. However, they are facing a Shimakaze and a Daring. Radar is currently out by the Stalingrad. However, if you ask me, this was pretty bad timing for Radar. There's not really a lot of things they can do against the Shimakaze, against that daring. However, the Poison does have Hydro. And yeah, the battleship placement was pretty questionable. But once again, these guys seemed a little bit overeager to get in there and get the caps. And now they're just they started bleeding hit points, which is what GGWP wanted them to do. They expected something like this to happen from H, who has they were just a little bit overeager, in my opinion, at the start of the game to get towards those scabs, exposing their ships, exposing their health. And now it's starting to bite them. They're still that 120 to 130,000 hit points down. However, they now only hold control of the A cap, where now GDWP has been able to get themselves in a position where it's going to be really hard to get those ships out by H. I see really hard for this Petro to go out safely. For this, we're going the Shimakaze, Nevsky. Shimakaze is even stern into them, even though there's no radar. He outspots the Daring. Daring is not a fast ship, so it's not necessarily trouble. But there you go. A torpedo from the Yoshino hits the Bourgogne. Will he hit a second one? It does not look like it. He does eat a second torpedo. He is really, really low. His heal is currently down. Damage control is down. Any fires, any floods are going to be sticking around for a while. Daring tries to get torps his way. Minotaur shooting with Z-52s, spotting on that Moskva. They're going to start whittling him down. Big shot from the Petro on the Minotaur, who does get chunked for a Citadel or two. That must have been Ohio shells coming over the island, I would believe. Will be tight. And yeah, something like I was pointing out here is you got to remember you do have 9 people talking here, so some of the precision might have been through some sort of discommunication. But anyways, we do see now the H team's lead starting to diminish very, very rapidly. Petro pushing into that B cap. He doesn't really have a choice. However, there are Z-52s coming in, and he's not scared to take that fight. Petro has to be very careful here. That is a fire on the Petro. He does have his damage control ready. However, they are going to have to push into this Bravo cap quite quickly. There's really not a lot. Other than that Minotaur, there's not a lot that's hurt. There aren't that many ships that are actually hurt from GDWP, other than that Daring, who keeps taking fights against cruisers, who keeps chunking them. Stalingrad gets rid of the Shimakaze for H. That brings them in the lead. GGW played into the lead for the first time with 9 minutes left on the clock, win in 7. So Ohio's starting to push back in. This was also a very big misplay. You had the 2 destroyers being aggressive, and you had your battleship running away, which is something I failed to notice earlier. However, look at the difference from what GDWP did. They brought them back, but that was to drag the enemy team in. Once they're dragged out and they're in crossfires from a couple of directions, they're able to push them back in, bring them in, and start biting them quite a bit more aggressively. Meanwhile, the Shima tries to drop a smoke screen for the Nevsky, who is still out here. The cap they own, the cap they have nothing threatening this cap, and they are not able to leave it, which is pretty detrimental to them overall, if you ask me. Getting ships trapped like that, and there you go, the Petro, he got in that crossfire. He was half health when he got in here. He is down to about 1,000 hit points with no radars left, no heals. His damage control is down for 10-12 seconds. We have 8 minutes left on the clock. However, GDWP will be winning in 2 minutes if nothing changes. But this daring is forced to start pushing up, and there you go, Minotaur shells. Lots. Food from yesterday, I just got the message, it got delivered. Daring getting shelled by the Minotaur. Meanwhile, torpedoes coming out from the Yang towards that Ohio, who's trying to push into... I don't know, I feel a lot of their movements were quite questionable. This could be an inexperienced team. I'm honestly not aware. It's what I'm guessing. They're somewhat of an inexperienced team. They're new to this. Or they, as you're saying, they might not have used the ships before, because all teams are forced to use a press account for this, so they are able to use pretty much any ship. Ohio just got chunks at 52, gets rid of the Shimakaze, and now the Minotaur is able to push without any pressure towards that daring, who does launch torpedoes, and it does look like the Minotaur is going to be turning right into those torpedoes. That is a dead Minotaur. This is going to extend the game. I don't think it's going to change the outcome of it, but it will be extending it. There are 2 minutes 30 left on the clock, with the Bourgogne pushing into that Bravo cap, getting in it, contesting it, but I think... this is not going to change much. He's able to put some hurt on that daring. He's able to put some hurt on that Z52. However, he is going to eat a daring torp, which is going to hurt a lot. His damage control does go down. Shells coming in from the Minotaur, and off he goes. He is dead. And sorry, we did lose the Worcester earlier, not the Minotaur for GGWP. Ohio about to go down. Ohio goes down, and with that, GGWP takes their second game. Woo! Quite a game. And this is a very experienced team playing in GGWP. They were patient, and as I was saying earlier, they let the enemy take the caps. They let the enemies be eager. They let the enemies be aggressive. Once they just waited and enjoyed, not enjoyed, but they just waited for, they just waited for them to get into position as a whole team and be able to work as a unit, rather than H, who seemed to be doing like little group pushes, little group attacks. They were kind of playing 3 different games, whereas GG Well played one game, and they said, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and that is exactly what we did. Okay, anyways, an ACL, bang, funky, whoop. Alright, let's get ready for our next game, which will be played in the same map. Let me see if I can find... I mean, to be honest with you, I think they broke down very early on in the game, especially with, as you were saying, that Ohio positioning. Firstly, that Ohio positioning. Russian. Alright, we are going into NACL's game here. We have... Woo! Hello. Yeah, it's wrong for sure, and it's kind of one of the big stepping stones you need to do, because you need to be, in my opinion, it's not like you can just get in the game and play at a tournament at this level. This is not just any teams you're facing. You're playing GGWP, who is arguably, in my opinion, one of the top 10, 15 clans on NA, versus kind of a nobody in the business who might be starting out, who might done a few, but they haven't progressed. Whatever the reason, there is a disparity in level. But I do like to show, I think these games where it might be a wash and we might know the outcome from the start, I think it is nice to cast them and to show them, because you can very, very clearly see what a good team is versus what a learning or less experienced team is. Like, you can see it a lot clearer on the same field where, as I said, GGWP was one unit. They were playing one game, whereas it did feel at times as H was just playing 3-4 different battles at once, which doesn't make sense in a team game like so. But anyways. Let me go find. Find. I need to go here. Matches. Group 7. And once again, I am really hoping this game ends early. Fingers crossed. Alright, an interesting thing. Ragnar is not banned this time. And neither is the Mars. So, we have... Arguably, this is... One of the bans I don't agree with is NACLs. You will see them in a minute. And I personally don't agree with it. And there is one very big reason. One very, very, very big reason. Just did that. Well, bam, bam. And onto the ship bans. What? Bans. There you go. What, bam. Hey, Discourius, welcome in. But anyways, one ban I do not agree with, and that is NACL's ban of Des Moines. The reason for that is I feel like Des Moines is one of the most difficult ships to ban, and unless you're going to use it, you see something very, very specific that they could do with Des Moines. My problem with the Des Moines ban is Salem exists. Oh yeah, for sure, Lego. No, I'm not saying it's disrespectful. I'm just saying they're learning, and you can see that. And they did a fantastic job putting up the fight they did to a team such as... Uh-oh. Go. 5 games. 9 codes. And remember, you can enter the giveaway. There is a giveaway going on for some codes in chat, exclamation, no, hashtag COTS. I changed it from last time. But yeah, as I was saying, I don't like that Des Moines ban because of the reason I was talking about earlier. There is a Salem. Salem and Des Moines are the same ship. The big thing that changes is the consumables. However, Salem has that extra healing power. But anyways... Hey, Gayfon, very well job. Congratulations. That's honestly a tough game to draw on your second game in this group, qualifying group. But anyways, we're just waiting on the teams to ready up. Please be ready on time. I beg. Actually, we have 25 minutes. It's fine. You can take a minute or two. But yeah, we all started somewhere, and Lego can tell you about his experience himself. He's a fantastic player, good friend of the community. But anyways, as I was saying, that I'm still not convinced about that Des Moines ban. I just feel Salem is way too similar to it. Kleber, I understand again that burst fire when you get that reload booster up is pretty nasty. But then again, there is Marceau on the other hand. But Kleber and Marceau, to me, they're a little bit more. They have a little bit more deviation from each other than the Salem and Des Moines do. That's why I'm not a big fan of that Salem ban. Yay, there you go. But anyways, It looks like we are about ready to go. NACL ready. Streamers are ready. We're just waiting for Bunky to ready up. And we will be going for our third game of today, which is not the same one we watched at the start. It is NACL v Bunky. There we go, bam bam. Alright, and off we go on to our third game, which should have been the fourth game of the day, but we did miss one. It isn't the same map we just saw, so I am expecting to see similar strategies. Well, I say expecting. I already spotted something funky with the teams. But anyways, on NACL's team, we have a Montana, Kremlin, Golden Lion, Moskva, Nevsky, Petropavlovsk, Gearing, Daring, and Marceau. On the other side, for Bonky, we have Ohio, Schlieffen, Salem, Double, Golden Lion, Venezia, Daring, Z52, and Yoyang. 2 Golden Lions. What do I expect them to do? I expect them to play somewhere either next to the C cap, wide of the C cap. I don't expect them to play too much at A. I don't think there's enough safe cover and reliable cover to be able to as I was saying, I don't think there is enough cover to be able to safely use something like a Golden Lion, which can lob. Obviously, they're plane bomb dropping thingies, bomb dropping planes over an island. So that could be interesting to see what they do with them. Do expect them to play a lot around B, maybe even that 9-10 line, as I was saying, and C is also an option because you can safely hide back here. Alright, but anyways, up to the initial deployment for NACL. So we have an Nevsky and Gearing, I think that is. I cannot read. Okay, Nevsky and Gearing going towards the Alpha Cap, Golden Lion. I didn't notice they had a Golden Gunlu. Going behind that Bravo Cap. Montana sticking behind Bravo with Mosfa trying to get behind that island B, getting the wrong way, being forced to the other side of the island to not get murdered, basically. Meanwhile, on the Charlie Cap, we do see that Kremlin going wide to the 9-10 line, Petra going 9-10 with the Marceau. Daring seems to be going to contest, or at least try and spot. And it's hashtag COTS, not exclamation mark, or well, I think it is. But anyways, so we see that Petra Marceau going wide. Okay, on the other side for Bonky, we see one of the Gunlus. I'm not surprised by this. He is going wide, Daring pushing wide. Salem, I expect him to just turn straight out, basically, and come out. I wouldn't be surprised if they even send him behind this island. It would not surprise me. Along with the Schlieffen towards that 9-10 line, they're ignoring the Charlie Cap for now. Godenlu going behind the Charlie Cap, starting to get bumps on that, I expect. Meanwhile, in Bravo, they have an Ohio and a Z52 who's already in the cap. He is getting radared by the Moskva, who still has 15 seconds. However, that Moskva is going to be in a world of hurt. They have this Golden Lion already starting to work on this, and that is one of its main jobs. Its jobs. These Golden Lions are going to be working to attack very, very specific positions, in my opinion. That's why you want that. You want to be able to go somewhere where you are going to have stationary cruiser, which you can drop over and over again. Make them uncomfortable, make them forced to use damage controls, heals, make them forced to move. Meanwhile, okay, this is that 52 for Bonky is able to take that Bravo Cap. Meanwhile, at Alpha, we see Gearing, Nevsky facing a Youyang and Venezia. This is pretty interesting. I do believe, yeah, that is a radar Youyang for sure. There would be no point to bring a smoke Youyang when you have a Venezia who can smoke himself up and stay at range with those fast firing shells. They shoot really flat, really fast. So you're able to hit reliably hits targets at range. So Bonky has a Bravo cap, and ACL is able to flip the Charlie cap for free. However, look at this big push already coming down the 9-10 line. You already have the Golden Lion pretty much in the middle of the map at the F line, with Daring being caught by a radar coming from the Petro. But this is, again, that's a Petro. It's a short radar. Yes, they might get a shot or two off on the Daring, but don't expect him to take too much damage. And that Petro is about to be in trouble. That Daring could be in a lot of trouble with Schlieffen coming around. And there's not a lot to stop this Schlieffen, if you ask me, other than the Kremlin. But the Kremlin, look at how far back he's playing. In my opinion, this is a little bit too defensive. However, they are going to it looks like they are going to kind of let this push happen and try to block it on the way out. Like we saw on the other side for, indeed, the GG well played game. GGWP forced these guys to push through where they could get the crossfires in or trap them in there and not let them leave. But anyways, health-wise, an ACL does hold an 80,000 hit point lead against Bonky at this point, which could be really dangerous. It's not a small lead. However, no, never mind. Those are Yu Yang Torps heading towards gearing, so he is going to be fine with that. Z52, after taking that Bravo cap, is able to push into the A cap, start contesting it, where we do see he's well within the radar range for that Nevsky. However, look at this. This is what these guys do reliably. You will never see them go nose in into a cap blindly unless it's the end of the match and they are fighting for like a couple of point difference or they're losing and they need to do something desperate. They will always back in. The reason for this is that this gives them the ability to just accelerate out and run away. However, this Nevsky could start getting in trouble because of those torp angles. Alright, Alpha and Bravo are now for Bonky. Bonky is still... Actually, the health differential has grown. They have been trading pretty poorly somewhere. I don't see any big... Never mind, the Golden Lion down the 9-10 line. One of the two eats shells from Montana, I'm guessing. Most likely. And this is a problem for... But yeah, this could be trouble for Bonky. And this is what, as I was saying, this is the same problem that we saw from Hansen. At the opposite end of the map, quite literally different, reverse, the other spawn and whatnot. But at the opposite end of the map, we're seeing the same problem. They're having a lot of their forces stopped. This is what they wanted to be a push. They have two Golden Lions. They have their Schlieffen. They have their Daring, who is now radar... who got radared by the Petropavlovsk. And he's the only one who's able to push up. However, he's not really that safe. His teammates are not able to come across because of that Montana and Moscow positioning. They are creating that crossfire with the Petro, with the Kremlin not allowing them to go. And there you go. Kremlin takes out the Salem, trying to push into the C cap. I don't know what he was trying to do here. He was getting himself into way too much of a crossfire. And ACL is now able to step into the Bravo cap and start taking that Bravo cap. They do own that Charlie cap. And now they also step into the Alpha cap. And once again, this is... I really like the Venezia, don't get me wrong, but something it doesn't have, that happens with Venezia a lot of the times, is that it doesn't get any utility, so they're not able to sniff out this gearing. However, this gearing does have support from this Nevsky, who, if we can see, he is getting smacked quite a bit by the Daring. This is something pretty bad. Like, I don't see how you're able to get yourself caught here. There is a radar. But you knew it was coming, and you have that support. You're able to... I guess I did need that cap. However, it does look like the gearing for NACL will go down to 1,800 hit points. There you go. He does go down from some Ohio shells. the Yu Yang is saved by the skin of his teeth, and that gearing smoke screen. No, actually, the Nevsky was forced way back by the Ohio push. That's gonna even up the scores. However, NACL is still 120,000 hit points. Last time we mentioned it, it was only 100,000, so they are growing that health point differential. And to me, it does have to do a lot with this push down here. They were trapped there. They have a battleship who's now going broadside to a battleship and a Petro while spotted. Okay, that could be big trouble for him. We do see the Marceau starting to open up on that Schlieffen. Torpedoes from the Daring do catch out one of the Golden Lions. That gives a one-ship lead for NACL and a 50 point lead. However, the points are now up to 110,000? 130,000, sorry. So they are still growing that trade. And once again, this is an experienced team, just that they're still quite high up there. I would think they are a little bit lower than NACL, than GDWP, which is who we saw last round. But they're still up there. They're not to be messed around with. And we do see them use this. This Moskva is caught in nobody's radar. I'm kind of surprised he's still shooting. It is his own shooting that is spotting him. I don't understand that daring smoke screen. If he continues shooting, I would expect him to stop shooting for a minute. Just wait to heal up a little bit. He should hit his heal. Oh, his heal is currently running. However, this is his last heal. And there you go. He is out of heals. He does have his radar going. Catches the daring out. Big chunks on the daring down to half health. And the daring for NACL is able to just sit there and farm Schlieffen down to 1,000 hit points. 400. That Schlieffen is going to go down from Montana shells coming across. Daring desperately trying to shoot, trying to back out. He notices he was forced out of his smoke. The Marceau, the enemy daring for NACL keeps shooting, sets him on fire. He doesn't have another damage control for 17 seconds. He's not dark. That is going to be a dead daring. I don't see him going out of that alive. He doesn't have a heal, no damage control. 7, 6. There you go. 400, never mind. Kremlin shells catches him. And now NACL are finally in the lead with 650 to 520 points. Look at that once again. Trading health. They're more than double. They have more than double the health that Bonky has at this point in time. And look at this. They are just able to wrap around. And once again, they give up points at the start to set themselves up and outtrade the enemy, which is what wins games. Yes, points are important, but it is what was I gonna say? I'm potato braining. But it's also essential to keep your ships alive, because you don't have the health on your ships to make the pushes, to be able to defend caps. Then there's no point on having those caps if you're all gonna die anyways. So we see Bonky pushing into the Bravo cap, and ACL has no caps right now ticking for them, which is kind of impressive at this point. But they are redeploying these ships. His ships finished not too long ago, clearing up the slack, clearing the big push that Bonky was hoping for. In my opinion, that was going to be their win flank, especially since they only left one destroyer and one cruiser out on the Alpha flank. They do hold control of the caps, however, there is a big push coming. And the only ship that's really in threat for NACL to die right now is that Nevsky, who I can assure you is just going to be running away and taking a shot here, taking a shot there, but nothing too big. And he does have a couple of heals left, so I guess he still has a chance. Shells coming in from the Ohio. They all miss. Nevsky is still shooting on the Ohio. And now look at this, over 170,000 hit points. And this is one of the metrics that I think is very, very big in most matches. Unless you see a match where you see a lot of destroyers against a lot of cruisers, with the heavier cruisers, and that disparity starts from the start. The health differential as the game progresses is very, very important, in my opinion. It gives you really a gauge of what is happening, sometimes even more than the points. Because as I said, yes, points are important. don't get me wrong, I do think fighting for those caps is important. But at the same time, in a game mode like this, in a tournament like this, you want to be one unit, and that is what NACL has done. And Bunky, you could argue that it was something similar to H. The H guys, Ohio does get taken down by NACL's Gunlu. They kind of picked fights in different groups rather than planning the whole map as a whole. If you see something very, very big here, is this Montana positioning. Yes, he was in B, kind of sneaking towards C. However, his attention was fully focused on what was happening down here in the 910 line, stopping people from crossing here, stopping people from just sitting around here, because he was creating the angles. However, Montana does get pretty low. He does take the Yu Yang out right now, and with that there's only 2 ships left, 870 points to 600 points. Then again, Ripon, we are talking about another disparity in play edge. It's just the games that were available at this point. Alright, sorry about that. Golden Line also takes out the Z52. That leaves 950 points, 12 seconds left. And the Petropavlovsk gets rid of the Venezia. Whew! Alright, anyways, we do have to go on to the next game already. Hooray! Alright, I'm gonna take a very short break. I need to take a bio break really quick, and I will be right back for our next match. watching Sea of Fortune next, so I will send you off to that.
Somewhere between the shores of France and England, this critical battlefield is the stage for a clash of enemy fleets. Tranquility will soon be shattered by the thunder of guns and flash of explosions, as only one fleet shall claim victory. This is Sea of Fortune. Sea of Fortune is a 48 by 48 kilometer domination-style map. A recent change will stress tacticians both new and seasoned, as there are now 4 capture points. To the west are A and B, likely seen as teams' home caps. Teams will be encouraged to deploy more assets west, but it comes at the cost of cross-map support. Will teams defend their home or risk it all to assault the enemies? There are 4 ways in or out of sea with no cover inside. Most teams will have battleship guns ready to punish any who dares enter. Will fortune favor the bold? D is possibly the easiest to capture, but with only 3 entrances or exits, players caught by enemy radar will soon find a 4th exit. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play Sea of Fortune.
And alright, so that was the map intro by Sea of Fortune. On the alpha side, for no cap, we have Montana, Ohio, Des Moines, Napoli, Moscow, Nevsky, Gearing, Kleber, and Shimakaze. On the red side, for TSIOF, we have double Montana, Henri, Napoli, double Nevsky, Gearing, Daring, and Z52. This should be a pretty interesting game because let's not Rapone, please, let's not keep harassing them. That is not very nice. Let's praise the efforts they are making into making this tournament what it is and the joy we are able to watch it. But anyways, back to the game at hand. As I was saying, this should be a pretty interesting game. We do have Petr Pavlovsky, and surprise, surprise, Ragnar is back on the ban list. To nobody's surprise ever. But anyways, there should be an interesting map because this is one of the new map layouts that was introduced to this game. For this COTS earlier. Before it used to be the Alpha cap, Bravo cap, and the Charlie cap used to go a little bit more to the right, if I recall correctly. It wasn't that close to this island, which made this a tiny bit more at play, but it's still at play. Anyways, for no cap, we have Gearing, Nevsky, and Montana going towards the Delta cap, looking to be a little bit wider than the Delta cap. Moskva and Kleber staying in that Bravo cap. It looks like they're just going to defend it. I don't think they're going to push for it early on. And we have the Shimakaze, Des Moines, Napoli, and Ohio going down the 1-2 line for that Alpha Bravo cap. Possibly a push with Ohio, Napoli there. On the other side, for TSIOF, we have Nevsky, Gearing, Napoli, Montana going down that 1-2 line for that Bravo Alpha possible push. I haven't watched this map in this configuration, so I'm really curious to see what happens. Meanwhile, the Z52 is reversing into that B cap where that Moskva and Kleber are waiting to ambush. Daring backing into the Delta cap with the support of a Nevsky, Montana, and Henri. I'm really curious to see, is that... I don't think this Kleber. Kleber does get spotted. Radar out from the Moskva, shells out for the Z52. Kleber did not have all of his guns completely turned towards the Z52. Z52 is starting to get chunked from that reload booster and Moskva shells. Moskva takes a big hit from somebody. That Z52 is down to about half health. He does not get a heal. He is on fire. And his damage control is down. This is big. Down to a third health. It looks like 2 fires are burning. Looks like his engine is out. He's still spotted from firing. From Moskva's radar, sorry. But that was a big, devastating strike on the Z52. He's going to have to be a lot more careful from now on. Meanwhile, we see the Shimakaze and the Daring starting to back up towards each other, to nobody's surprise. Very common at this level of play. once again. Ooh, boy. But anyways, we see the Montana staying on a more central position, more towards that. He is towards B, but he's also towards C, and it looks like he's thinking about C. This is what I'm expecting to see happen. Meanwhile, Henri is completely turned out, kiting away from that Nevsky gearing, which is a good idea if you ask me. It is definitely what I would be doing myself. That is not something you want to face in something like an Henri, which has horrible concealment, and you have no way to push that Nevsky out of his smoke. Meanwhile, the other Montana, it looks like he's doing pretty much the opposite to the Montana. No, actually, never mind. He is fighting the Montana right in front of him. Meanwhile, the Daring is now nose on, trying to push into that gap. Kleber for no cap, backing up towards the Charlie cap. Sorry about I was about to say Bravo once again. Okay, teams are correct. Towards a Charlie cap. I'm not used to this layout, and taking it, there's not a lot to contest it. This Z52 has to be very careful. He's back into Moskva's radar once again with 13 seconds left on the cooldown. So if that Kleber gets spotted, you know that Moskva will be radaring. Meanwhile, down the 1-2 line, we do see Gearing dropping a smoke, but getting radared by the Des Moines, who goes quite aggressive on this, trying to get that radar out. And that Gearing is quite deep in the Des Moines radar. This could be dangerous with Napoli, with Shima, who dodges the torpedoes. Des Moines is now completely undetected because of that Gearing smoke. These kind of smokes can be useful for your team, but they can also be detrimental. Right now it is allowing that Des Moines, Napoli, and the Shimakaze to shoot without getting spotted. He's almost out of radar range. Des Moines no longer has shots on that at this point in time. But anyways, meanwhile, the Kleber is finally able to take that Charlie cap, giving them a little bit of an advantage here. Nevsky down to half health. On a double fire, his heal is up. Damage control is down for another 44 seconds though. So those two fires ain't gonna be pretty on him. He is pretty low and his heal is about to run out. Those fires are gonna start aching and hurting. He's just gonna want to run away, wait for heal, and get a little bit more health before he can do much. Meanwhile, the Gearing for NoCap is able to get really aggressive on TSIOF's Daring thanks to that Nevsky radar. Daring down to half health, Gearing still full health. This Gearing is not having a happy day. For sure. And meanwhile, the Kleber gets rid of the Z52. It was not the Moskva radar. It looks like the Z52 just got cut out, spotted by the Kleber, which is a big mistake. That is a big misplay by them. And hey, Stevig, welcome in. I mean, they had no cap, and most of the top teams, as we have seen today, they are willing to give up that cap control until they feel comfortable. But no cap has actually been somewhat aggressive, and they are starting to encircle the guys from TSIUF. One of the things I do like to look at as well, I was talking earlier, the head point pool, 130,000 advantage for no cap. That is huge. 2 ships up, 130,000 hit points. And that is a Nevsky and a Z52 lost, so quite important ships. It's also the line of attack, as I like to call it, which is the front line of any team. As you see here, you have Shima. Montana does get rid of the Moskva for no cap, TSIUF's Montana. But as I was saying, this line we're seeing right here, look at where it is on the map and look at the support they have. It's not just two lone ships. Yes, they are ahead of their team, but they are not completely alone. Meanwhile, this Daring gearing action, actually, let's go watch it. Daring down to 2,000 hit points, gearing down to half health. Montana's starting to get aggressive here. They gotta do it. They are 200 points down. And once again, they are 120,000 hit points down. So they do gotta start doing something. And all of their ships are actually starting to be whittled down. Said no one never. But okay. Anyways, the Montana takes torpedoes from the Kleber, it looks like, and is really, really hurt. Down to 11,000 hit points with his heal down. Damage control was just used to stop that flood. He's in a world of hurt. He is spotted. I wouldn't be surprised to see this Kleber start tuning once he takes the Delta Cap. They just want to secure the points and then try and get fires on the Montana, who is stopping and trying to reverse out of that, but I think it's too late. I think he's already committed into that. Meanwhile, the Nevsky starts taking shots at the Kleber, as does the Henri. Henri shells look too far forward, so does the Nevsky. Kleber does go dark. Start backing right in towards the cap. Meanwhile, Montana is still spotted. I'm kind of surprised to not see shells going that way. Daring, the gearing is spotting the Daring, who smokes up at this time. This is a great position for the gearing. He was able to use his friendly radar to push the rest of the support back to hurt that Daring. Montana takes a huge shot on the Daring. Daring goes down. That brings a 140,000 hit point lead for NoCap, who is now starting to whittle down and finish off that Montana, whose damage control is down. His heal is running, but he's down to 7,000 hit points, 3,000. Montana gets rid of him, and that gives him a 3-ship lead now. And this is done and dusted. They have all caps. They have nearly twice as many ships. 5 ships to 8. No cap has a huge lead. They have an 700 hit point, as a 600 point lead ish. A little bit more. Meanwhile, the Nevsky down to 900 hit points for TSIOF. He just goes dark, but shells still coming in from the enemy Nevsky. And he starts healing down from 1,000 hit points. Henri starts shooting at the Nevsky. But I don't see a way back here for TSIOF. Yes, they're trying to push this. They're gearing up into Charlie, but I don't think there's a lot they're going to be able to do with this. The big reason for that... The big reason for that, as I was saying, is... The big reason for that, as I was saying, is they are now getting encircled. As you see, they have ships all around them. They're just able to cut through and try and do something, maybe go for A, but I think this game is lost at this time. Meanwhile, the Nevsky for TSIUF is able to heal quite a bit. Ohio kills the Napoli trying to push through. That leaves 33 seconds on the game clock with TSIOF unable to get into any cap point. Kleber rushing towards the gearing, who is rushing on the point, and the Nevsky takes out the Nevsky to make it for their game, and with that, we will get ready for the next game. Who's hosting? Zoom host. Alright, it looks like we have another minute to breathe. Woo-hoo! All of these games have been somewhat intense in different points for different reasons. Once again, we did see one team kind of ruffle stump the other. And next we have Kraken against Start D. So sadly, this could be another game like that, but I really, really appreciate everybody for being here. And everybody that plays this tournament would not be possible without every single team that plays. From the team that wins to the ones that get eliminated early on, it does make for a very interesting tournament. Something also pretty interesting about watching the lower teams is their strategies can be a little bit funky, which makes it quite a bit of fun, in my opinion. Awesome. Love how I've basically been following up. Gio and I have been following each other around the games. But yeah, something I did try to do for today is try and catch one game from each group, which is exactly why we're going like all over the place, quick, bang, bang, bang. But anyways, that was that for them. Let's get ready for the next game, which will be Kraken against Start D. Let's see if this is ready. Vote running, no. Completed. No. Pending. Voting. We are just waiting on the bans. We are waiting for their bans. That is all we are waiting on for now. Hopefully we start on time. But wow, what a game. Anyways, I am gonna actually throw you over to our next game's map, which will be Kraken against Star D, being played on Crash Zone Alpha. So off we go.
The Narrows of the English Channel have borne witness to some of the most famous naval battles in history. Now, the storied cliffs of Dover provide the inspiration and backdrop for a naval clash of epic proportions. This is Crash Zone Alpha. Crash Zone Alpha is a 42 by 42 kilometer domination-style map with 3 cap points running in a line from southwest to northeast. The A cap is in the bottom left, B is in the center, and C is in the top right. In the center and southwest, both A and B caps provide a little cover for radar cruisers looking to support friendly destroyers as they vie for control of each cap. The islands that hug the borders of these 2 capture zones are tall enough to block most shells, and close enough that their radar envelopes will cover the respective capture areas. To the northeast, Capture Area C is a much riskier play for cruisers. The islands here are smaller and farther back from the capture zone, providing better access for destroyers. Battleships seeking better firing angles on enemies farther south are likely to find what they're looking for, but pushing too far too quickly can be a very risky play. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play Crash Zone Alpha.
Wham. Alright, and with that, we will go over to the bands. 2 pretty interesting bands. We will be watching. This is Crash Zone Alpha, as you saw in the intro video. And the Kraken banning Gearing with the start D banning Napoli. I really expect that Kraken ban to be a reactive ban from previous games they have seen from Star D, a ship that they felt was very influential in previous battle results. That is what the top teams do. They're not proactive for bans. They are very proactive, but they're also very, very good at reacting. And this is one of the easiest examples to show is their banning process. It's not only a ship that they have fought in the past, which could be a consideration, a ship they have fought in the past in specific positions that has, which can cause for, so basically the bans, it's either a ship that they feel can affect the battle tremendously from the other side of the map, or a ship they're not comfortable fighting, or what's more likely the case, as I was saying, is a ship that they have seen the enemy team do something with in the previous rounds. So it's something that they know can affect the battle against them and not for what they want. And alright, it looks like team fire ready. Alright, it looks like the teams are finishing to ready up here. They are ready. I is ready. It looks like we are about to get going. But anyways, let's just take a quick peek once again at Crash Zone Alpha. Diagonal caps. We have Alpha bottom left, Bravo in the middle, Charlie top right. I'm sure the spawns are wrong, so it should be green on top and red at the bottom, if I recall correctly. Well, they're what they do, but sometimes, especially in the first weekend, watching two lower level teams fight each other, you can get some crazy games from completely out of the blue pushes, like down the middle of maps, or like down one flank, just a full charge, except like a ship, which I have seen in the past, the last actual COTS. But anyways, on to the game. For Kraken, we have St. Vincent, Kremlin, Des Moines, Double Marseille, Petropavlov, Scaring Shimakaze, and Yu Yang. On the other side, for Star D, we have Ohio, St. Vincent, once again, two St. Vincents being shown here, Des Moines, Plymouth, Yoshino, Petro, Daring, and Double Shimakaze. Pretty similar destroyer choices, except for that Yu Yang, who I'm expecting to be a radar Yu Yang, if I can throttle over this way. And that is not a radar Yu Yang. It looks like he's going to be working with that Des Moines. I do expect him then to be a legendary Yu Yang. That is not a legendary mod Yu Yang, so that's an interesting pick. I do need more coffee. Coffee is always needed, He-Man. Oh, a massage would be nice. But anyways, let's go over these initial deployments. We have St. Vincent, Des Moines, and Yu Yang heading over to the Charlie Cap for Kraken, with Petropavlovsk daring towards the Bravo Cap. I expect this Kremlin heading down towards the A Cap. I don't expect him to try and take any engagements in B to support his Shimakaze, and Double Marseille pushing down the flank. That's going to be a really... Sadly, Cash is not here today. We have Ozzy running giveaways, so he might be promoted to mod soon. If that's really a promotion in my channel. But anyways, we do have the two Marseilles heading down to the 1-9 with the Shimakaze of Special Cake going into the Alpha Cap. On the other side, for Star D, we see a Shimakaze, Petropavlovsk, Des Moines, and Ohio pushing right into the A Cap with Deuce. I do expect that Des Moines to go wide. There's no way he's going to try to go in. That is a bad idea. With Plymouth going towards the Bravo Cap with the Daring, and Shimakaze, St. Vincent, and Yoshino over to Charlie. Hit point wise, due to the ship picks, Kraken is up 50,000 hit points. That is a big margin, and that has to do with these two guys right over here against the Plymouth. That is where a big that gearing bend has to do with the smoke, the torps, and also its ability mostly to play with another ship. Meanwhile, we see the Petropavlovsk for start the radaring the Shimakaze out of smoke. Somebody's already screaming at me. Oh boy. I am going insane. But anyways, Petro's radar does go down. Shimakaze is still in that A-cap, but the Shimakaze of Special K for Kraken will be backing right in. Meanwhile, we see the Kremlin starting to nose on with the two Marseilles already way down the flank. This has got to be a scary sight for that Des Moines. That Des Moines does not want to be there. That Shimakaze does not want to be cut out there. These are two fast ships that can definitely do a nasty number on either of those ships. We do see both Shimas. The Daring for Star D is playing a very, very aggressive approach. Going nose on, going well deep into the cap. I'm not sure I like this play, especially with what we know that's there, the Petro and the Daring, but they are able to flip that Bravo cap without much opposition, and they are also able to take that Alpha cap thanks to that Des Moines radar pushing the Shimakaze away. Des Moines will be trying to push up, but here comes what Star D will not want to see at all. They are probably freaking out as we speak at the sight of two Marseilles just walking down the flank. With Ohio has to do the work here. If not, their Des Moines and their Shimakaze are going to be in a world of trouble. Meanwhile, Shimakaze drops some torpedoes towards Des Moines in case he pokes out, and towards the Petropavlovsk, who starts to turn out smart decision, if you ask me. And here we're already starting to see even though they are down on caps, but Kraken is already starting to take an advantage here. If you look at their strike line, their attack line, as I like to call it, it's a lot more aggressive, and it's forming this sort of horseshoe around the Star D players. They're starting to push them into the middle. What's that's going to cause is the more this happens, and the more it gets exaggerated, Kraken will only have to angle towards one position, whereas Star D will have to be trying to angle towards anything around them, anything and everything around them, which can be really dangerous. However, Kraken has bled a little bit of health because of this Marseille push, but look how aggressive they are. One of the Marseilles is about to go down. He gets low. I wouldn't be surprised. He's just going to beach here. I don't think he's getting a heal or a damage con out in time. This was a little bit over aggressive with that Petro down their side. And there you go. The Marseille does go down for Kraken for that first blood. And Yu Yang does take out the Yoshino at the other side with that aggressive push. And look at this, the Darings are contesting each other in Bravo. Meanwhile, Yu Yang is pushing towards that St. Vincent with the Des Moines by his side. Shimakaze is staying back, trying to get torpedoes on that Des Moines, who is going to dodge them successfully. Des Moines does put his radar out, however, he barely catches the Yu Yang at the edge of his radar, as you can see. Health-wise, it does look like, I'm tired today, Star D has regained quite a bit of health compared to Star D. The Darings face-checked each other, most likely, would be my guess, and yes, there they go again. There you go, the HE going. Des Moines is ever to take out the Petropavlovsk, who was slowing down the Petro, right here. Huh. That's an interesting place to lose a Petro, in my opinion. However, that brings Kraken into a bit of a dangerous situation. They are down 150 points. They are starting to bleed hit points. Only 20,000 left from the like 50, 60,000 they had at the start. Kremlin takes a big citadel from the Ohio on his side. Kraken will have to do something pretty soon. They do have control of two caps, but they are still 40 hit points down, and they are starting to bleed health. They are down. Ooh, somebody took a big chunk here. The St. Vincent gets chunk. Torpedoes coming in from the Yu Yang. Will they hit? Yes, one does hit, two hit, and that is St. Vincent gone. That's going to be huge because that opens up a lot of ships. That frees up a St. Vincent, that frees up a Yu Yang. That is a really curious Yu Yang position, though, with only the St. Vincent there. I don't know if I'm a big fan. It's going to take him a while. However, the Daring did take out the enemy Daring. They are now one ship kill up. They have control of all three caps. There's Marseille's in trouble, but I don't think there's much they can do with Kremlin there. They're gonna have to be careful. Don't be surprised if Kremlin is just not shooting, looking for that Des Moines, trying to save his Marseille. However, Shimakaze torpedoes coming in. That's one, that's two, and that is a big chunk of damage heal, damage control up. Des Moines has got to be really careful. He cannot trade for the Marseille. He's got to get rid of the Marseille without trading. However, that is unlikely. However, St. Vincent for Kraken. I'm already lost. Sorry, chat. However, the Ohio does get rid of the Kremlin. That opens up the Des Moines. There's nothing really to punish him if he comes around on Marseille. But Marseille is a fast ship. He's not going to let it just get around him that easily. Meanwhile, Plymouth shell starting to come in towards Marseille. Marseille speed boosting, just trying to get the hell out of there. Trying to beach here, actually, which is an interesting... I don't know if he tried to beach there, but that was not on purpose. Because now this Des Moines is going to just be able to burn him to death. The Daring is starting to take shots at him, trying to reset that cap. Make sure they cannot flip A quickly. However, look at the hit points now. Kraken are now 20,000 hit points below. But anyways, Marseille down to 2,000. He does get taken down by the Des Moines. Des Moines down to half health. Shells coming in. Ooh, from the St. Vincent and the Des Moines, who gets pretty lucky. That cannot have been St. Vincent. That was actually probably shells from the Plymouth or the Petro coming in towards Marseille. That was my bad. But anyways, now Des Moines and Yu Yang. Des Moines using that Yu Yang smoke to start working on this Plymouth. Getting a nice long smoke screen. Remember, Yu Yang smoke doesn't last as long as the... And there you go. Plymouth does get out, his radar out, gets the Yu Yang. He does get in his own smoke, but the Des Moines radar's back. Des Moines AP on Plymouth's side is not something you want to be taking. It ain't pretty when it hits you. He does get chunked quite a bit with his heal running, I believe. Can I please move down? Thank you. He does have his heal running. Damage control is still up. He's still in that Des Moines. He's out of that Des Moines radar range, but he's getting spotted. Petropavlovsk tries to radar out the Yang or the Des Moines, whoever they can get. Meanwhile, St. Vincent successfully dodges. He's trying to push towards Shima. I don't know if I like this. He really needs to start helping his team. He's keeping him busy. However, the points are starting to tick. But look at this. They are now 30,000 hit points down on health. For Kraken, that was a really, really aggressive move. They had two really fast ships. Petropavlovsk is about to go down, though. That's going to leave the ship. That's going to even out the ship kills, give Kraken even more points. 3 minutes until they win if things stay like as is. But the Des Moines is still shooting at that Plymouth. Meanwhile, Shimekazes are fighting here. Ooh. Stardust Shimekaze goes down and is now living on a prayer. He's running away from his smoke, expecting those torpedoes. He is able to disengage with 900 hit points, which kind of saving him with them with torpedoes. They still have 2 minutes 48 seconds to go. So this could definitely go either way at this point. This is the last crazy switch we have, chat. We'll have more time after this. But anyways, meanwhile, the Ohio is starting to get farmed. It looks like by that Des Moines, once again pushing into that Yang smoke screen. With nothing really to radar them out. The only thing that could radar them out is Ohio shells on the Des Moines, who beached. Luckily for him, he was turned on. Kraken is still on the way to win here with 2 minutes left until they went 8 minutes left on the match. 5 minutes until we have to be in the next room. But anyways, the Des Moines down to half health. For Casey, the Daring does get spotted. He's starting to go out and run away. Okay, let's see. Shimekaze does step into sea, which is going to buy them a lot more time. 3 minutes 20 left on the clock. Shells from St. Vincent on Des Moines, they completely miss. That Shimekaze surviving could have saved Star D. That would have changed the match complexion for sure, because that would have been around another 100 points. Let's say 60, I believe it is. Yes, no, actually 40 gain. So they would have been at like 120 now, which is still quite a margin. Shimekaze, those are young torpedoes. He's not worried about that. Plymouth is running away for his life. He wants nothing to do with that Des Moines. And Yang. And I did see quite a couple of Plymouths in the Warship Spring Championship, or whatever it was called, the COTS, not COTS thing. But yeah, that Shimekaze living is actually a very, very big time buy, at least for Star D, with which they can keep trading health. But anyways, 2 minutes until Kraken dies if things stay the same. However, they are bleeding health. They are now 40,000 hit points. Remember, they started 50,000 hit points up. They are now down around 40,000 hit points. St. Vincent getting continuously chunked by this Des Moines, who got spotted. St. Vincent shells are in the air. Des Moines just goes under them. Shells coming in towards the Ohio. They gotta get rid of something. They really want this Plymouth dead. You even have the Daring opening up on him, hoping to find him. Okay, that Des Moines is going to be able to go dark. Plymouth does smoke up, but takes a big chunk down to 1,000 hit points, 1,200. They cannot finish him off. That Plymouth cannot even shoot at a Shimekaze of all things. Whew. This is a nail biter. 1 minute left on the clock, and the Des Moines is able to step into the cap to stop the points completely. Now the Ohio is surely going to try and go for the ram, but he's got to be careful. Remember those St. Vincent single launch torps, which are quite effective at this kind of range. Meanwhile, they have a Plymouth and a Shimakaze who are living on a prayer. This is what's going to win them games. Surviving wins you games. This is health. They used every little bit of health they had. And yeah, Plymouth is out of heals. He is out of speed boost. He still has smokes. And he still has smoke. The Des Moines takes out the Ohio, and Kraken takes it by the skin of their teeth. But anyways, as we know, I like to be crazy and just run from game to game. So I'm going to put you onto Sleeping Giants preview while I go into the room.
A colossal battle between opposing fleets will soon unfold here amongst the waters of the East China Sea. The residents of these islands will shortly bear witness to the thunder and flash of combat, and only one team will sail away victorious. This is Sleeping Giant. Sleeping Giant is a 48 by 48 kilometer domination style map with 3 cap points running in a line from west to east. The A cap is on the left, B is in the center, and C is on the right. Cap A on the left is fraught with danger. Previously located in the Thunderdome, the new cap location has an island on the left side that provides limited protection for both teams, while on the right side, the Thunderdome can provide cover for radar cruisers. Any team looking to take the cap will now have to gain control of both sets of islands in order to hold it. In the center, Capture Area B is just as perilous, as it is now smaller than it used to be. Completely open with plenty of places for radar cruisers to hide nearby without being spotted, it's commonly left uncaptured until the mid and late game. Cap C on the right may be the most treacherous. Originally centered on the set of 4 islands to the left of the cap, which provided some cover for a daring destroyer player, the now wide open cap will be challenging for even the most skilled of teams to contest and hold, unless they gain control of the island chain near the center or the Ocean of the 10 line. 18 ships, 2 teams, 1 victor. It's time to play Sleeping Giant.
All right. And with that, we are ready for the next map. I don't have the bands yet. That's a problem. What group are you guys in? Group number 2. Pending. Vote running. No. Running. There you go. Alright, next we will be watching KSM against DST, with KSM having a band we haven't seen today, but a band that has been very, very common in the past. In Alexander Nevsky, and surprise, surprise, our good old friend is back in the band list with Ragnar. But anyways, we're just waiting on the teams to finish readying up. Here they do have all of their ships ready. So we do, let's go over to the bands. On one side, KSM has banned a Nevsky. Alexander Nevsky, pretty common ban actually in the past COTS, when the Kleber was banned in the Warship Spring Championship, if I recall correctly. Kleber and Petra were perma-banned, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. But Nevsky was a pretty common ban because of those smoke trains that you can do with them. So it did make them quite common in the ban list. It has a 12-kilometer radar. Pretty decent. It has a regular cruiser heal, 32% of citadel damage, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. Hoping I'm not. But anyways, they might be screaming at me. But anyways, so yeah, Nevsky, really fast. Pretty good reload. They have a 5.5 second reload, if I recall correctly. I haven't played Nevsky in a while. So fast reload. Shells are very fast, so it's very accurate. It's also very accurate at any range, pretty much. It's armor-piercing shells, two broadsides are quite devastating at pretty much any range because of they don't lose as much speed, and since they're so fast, it's pretty easy to hit targets at pretty much any range consistently. On the other side, we have Ragnar, cruiser guns, the armor to bounce a lot of HE shells to not bounce up. English is hard, chat. English be hard. English be very, very hard to shatter HE shells. There you go. Its ability to shatter HE shells with its armor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hello. I swear to God, if I'm blessed. Yeah. But I mean, the Shima at A. The Shima and the Thingamabob surviving at A. The Shima and the Plymouth living at A gave Stardy a huge lifeline, which could have been disastrous had the Ohio not died to what I'm guessing was a mixture of torpedo. What happened, Steve G? But anyways, it looks like we are going... Okay. Okay, so it looks like we are going... I am expecting a Shimakaze in here because one of the players did slightly done goofed. So yeah, this is another one of the newly laid out maps. You could say before the cap at the left, the Alpha Cap, which used to be inside those islands, and the cap at the right in Charlie Cap used to be with all those islands in the middle. Now they are to the sides, which can bring to a very, very interesting situation. I do still expect that Kleber to do something right over here. But anyways, off we go for our second to last game, KSM against the ACT on Sleeping Giant. All right, for KSM we have Montana, Kremlin, Salem, Double Marseille, Petropavlovsk, Daring, Kleber, Yu Yang. I expect these Marseilles to play wide on the flank into the A cap with the Kleber being fast, being agile, getting in there. On the other side, for DST, we have Ohio Conqueror, Double Hindenburg, Venezia, Petropavlov, Stalingrad, Shimakaze, and Grozovoy. And also remember for the codes, before I forget, you can only get 3 for the duration. You can only activate 3 codes for the duration of this King of the Seas, not just per day or per weekend. So if you've already got 1-3 giveaways with mine included in any other channel, any other region, just don't enter because you won't even be able to use the codes, or so have I been told. But anyways, let's go towards this initial deployment. So we have Yu Yang Montana going towards Charlie, pretty alone for KSM, with Daring going all alone towards that Bravo Cap just to contest it. But he's going to have nobody to contest it, so he's going to be able to take that quite easily and get away. Meanwhile, we have Double Marseille, Petropavlovsk, Kleber, Salem, and a Kremlin going towards the Alpha Cap. On the other side, we have Shimakaze, Petropavlovsk, Double Hindenburg, Conqueror going towards A4. DSM with Stalingrad poking into Bravo to try and stop that cap from happening. I don't think that's possible. Stalingrad is already detected by that Daring. Meanwhile, they have their Ohio, Grozovoy, and Venezia over to the Charlie side to do some sort of contesting. Alright, so the Daring just turns out and starts backing into the cap to nobody's surprise. However, this Kleber over at the Alpha Cap will be pushing straight across. I am expecting it to get somewhere here, looking out, ready to get out, but still taking the cap, or just staying out here. That's also an option. This Kleber is about to get spotted. Ooh. And this right here is a legendary mod, Kleber. Ooh, that probably did surprise Tsushima. He did not expect to see a Kleber that close. He still has the gunpowder to hurt that Shima. Hindenburg gets slapped by the Kremlin or one of the Marseilles. I did not see who that was, but that was a big chunk. The Shimakaze is forced to smoke after that big chunk from the Kleber. This is the Ledge mod Kleber. Remember, it gets better concealment, better torp reload, but it does become a terrible, terrible gunboat. However, they really have not much other than those Hindenburgs to stop him from pushing the Shimakaze and trapping him in between the Salem and that Kleber. And I do expect to see that happen. Salem radar happens. Shima tries to back out. He does dodge the first salvo, but you're about to have a friend right in front of you. And there you go. You will see like a 10-second wait in Kleber guns. Okay, meanwhile, let's go to the other side, shall we? So Daring is pushing into B, being able to take it by the looks of it without much contest. Stali has his radar ready, but there's nobody to shoot at him other than the Petropavlov, who has his radar down. He has tried to resume. Meanwhile, DST has taken the Charlie Cap and is starting to take points. However, as you can see right up here, they are starting to bleed points. Salem gets rid of the Shimakaze already. That frees up Kleber. Where am I? I'd be lost. That frees up the Kleber to be a lot more aggressive. They don't really have much to spot them. One Hindi down to like a third health. The other has lost like a fifth of his health. It is not looking pretty. It looks like they started pretty even. KSM is already 90,000 hit points. Yeah, about 90,000, 92,000 hit points away ahead at this point. Petros radar, once again, it is ready, but you can expect that Daring to get out of it before much danger comes to it. He will still be in the radar, but that's at most 2 salvos. However, the Petro for KSM is going to start chunking this Ohio, who is sailing broadside. That Ohio is going to be forced to turn out in front of a certain Montana, who can definitely throw a hurt on it. Meanwhile, Yu Yang, who is running smoke, is blind firing into that Grozovoy. Grozovoy is not. This should be a win for KSM, but we will continue enjoying it nonetheless. But anyways, so Grozovoy. And the Ohio does eat a Yang torpedo. Yep, we are definitely missing a torp. He does put his heal and damage control out. Marseille, meanwhile, at the other side, kills out the first of the Hindenburgs. The second Hindenburg is running towards the map. That is now a... Actually, the hit point difference has gone down to 75,000. However, that Hindenburg is not going to be having a happy time, because that is a very torpedo-happy Kleber right behind him. And that is, once again, the ledge mod Kleber. This Petro is going to start getting in trouble here. Salem able to push into that Thunderdome, as people like to say, and Marseille, across the map, gets the kill on that Petropavlovsk. Bye-bye. No more game for you. Meanwhile, the Hindenburg is getting harassed by this Kleber, and there's not much you can do. Shells out from the Marseille, who has already punished. We've already seen a Marseille punish a Petropavlovsk right after it punished the other Hindenburg. This is dire for the ST. I don't see a way back here. I do not see a way back here for the ST. There are 3 ships down. 160,000 hit points down. A cap down. And they are slowly but surely getting cornered. See how far this Hindenburg has to push away because of that Kleber ledge mod. This was a brilliant move And I don't think it works in any map. It works in maps like this, where you can use islands and be sneaky and just be torping. This is a Shima that goes a lot faster than a Shima. Basically is what this is. And meanwhile, Yu Yang kills the Grozovoy. Finally, Grozovoy does go down. That gives KSM now a 500 point lead, so 700 to 224 points, and a 170,000 180,000 hit points lead, or more, 190. That's growing. That's 200,000 now, and it's still growing because I'm guessing somebody's healing. I don't know who could heal that much, but somebody's healing in KSM. Probably. No, Salem hasn't been chunked. I don't think it is. Meanwhile, the Conqueror is getting chunked. He has a double fire. Damage control is ready, but he's not going to use it. He's just gonna go. They know, unfortunately, this game is lost. Hindenburg charging towards the Kleber is gonna eat the Kleber Torp. No, he's not. Shells coming in, though. Bam, that's a fire. Kleber is gonna start shooting. And there you go, Kleber. The Lechmalt Kleber shows he also has pretty hard-hitting guns. 1 minute 40 left on the clock if things stay as is. Let's not even mention the hit point differential at this point, but this game is as good as done. And wow, that was just a perfect display by KSM Sport Kid, even coming in to say hello mid-game. But welcome in. Montana deletes the Stalingrad, patrol the Venezia, down to 6 seconds left. And KSM takes their 5th and final game of the day. All right. One more game to go. With that, KSM, where is it? There you go. Sorry, I changed everything last night. But anyways, KSM. I need to fix that again. Oh no, don't tell me it's broken. Fun. Oh boy. Will do, Alex. But anyways, yeah, KSM takes this game. But alright, I will be taking a little 5-minute break before the last match of the day, and I will be back in a couple of minutes. Ah! What happened to my mic? But anyways, yeah, that daring. It looks like we are about ready to go here, though. So, and sorry about that. I muted my mic at some point. I did not notice that. We will go really quickly back to the... We'll show you crowds or not. Should know. It looks like we are about to be going... Oh god. Earthquake alarm just went off again. Fun. But anyways, off we go. Looks like we're about to get going. We are waiting for a second. It looks like they are getting finished up here. But yeah, man, those bands. I'm really curious as to the why there. I'm honestly really curious about as to the why there. I'm not sure why the daring ban is there. The Marseille, once again, we did see it in the past, but the daring ban. But anyways, everybody is now in the training room. We're about to get going for our last match of the day. Whew. Yeah, sorry, Ribbit. And welcome in. Welcome in. There are gonna be like 5 minutes of me saying absolutely nothing. Alright, and off we go for the last game of the day. Salsa against MHG. Alright, so for Salsa, we have a Vermont Bourgogne Henri, double Henri, Moskva, Nevsky, Shimakaze, Ragnar, and Yu Yang. For MHG, we have a Vermont Kremlin, Golden Lion, Napoli, Moskva, Nevsky, Gearing, Marceau, Gearing, and a Vampire. Alright, and off we go. Well, wait a minute. This is going to be an interesting game. And I do expect these Henris to basically do what the Marseilles did. Something around a hard push right through there. Alright, so for the initial deployment, it looks like we have Vermont, Nevsky, and one of the Henris heading towards the Charlie Cap without a destroyer. No, never mind. It does look like Yu Yang is heading that way. Ragnar heading towards Bravo Cap just to contest that, play around with his radar, and so on. Meanwhile, we see Bourgogne, Shimakaze, Moskva, and Henri heading towards a... Oh boy, this is going to be an explosive flank, because on the other side we have Marceau, Napoli, Golden Lion, and Kremlin heading towards that A-Cap, with Moskva setting up behind Bravo with Vampire pushing into that Bravo Cap. Meanwhile, Vermont, Nevsky, and the gearing going out towards the Charlie Cap. Alright, first shells are out on the Moskva that gets spotted by the Ragnar. That is a decent chunk coming in from that first Vermont salvo. It's just a nice start. Thank you, I'm sorry, Androids. But anyways, man, I hate streaming with delays. It ain't my thing. It ain't my thing. Anyways, the Ragnar is starting to reverse back towards that Bravo Cap, waiting for something to poke into it before he uses his radar. Meanwhile, Marceau is already in Alpha, going across as you would expect. As you would expect, getting behind this island to be able to secure the cap. And we do see that Shimakaze, Bourgogne, and Henri playing quite passive. I'm wondering if they're just waiting to get this Henri on the 1 line with the Bourgogne on the 1-2 line and then start pushing in. That would be pretty smart. Meanwhile, it does look like the Kremlin did stop behind Bravo just to get those shots across along with Petro and just catch the Ragnar if he tries to push into the Bravo Cap. Obviously, they do not know it's a Ragnar because he has not been spotted, I do not think. I'm sorry, I'm tired. But anyways, Moskva is starting to get chunked. We see Salsa is still around 20,000 hit points down. However, they did start down on hit points. But anywho, we do see Yu Yang torpedoes going towards Zinevsky. I do not expect him to do them much. Gearing, setting that smoke screen for the Nevsky and smoking up. Radar going out for the Nevsky, but that was a little bit early. Nevsky is now spotted. That was a little bit early. That was a strange radar, in my opinion. The Yu Yang for Solsat does get spotted. Big shot from the Vermont on the Nevsky. Nevsky goes down from Henri shells, and that is a very dead Nevsky. That gives a huge lead on this side, leaving the Gearing to fend for himself, along with the Vermont, who is now caught nose on into something he does not want to be caught with. That has got to be a lot of fire spam. That's an Henri and Nevsky who can burn the Vermont down relatively quickly, along with a Vermont to fight. Meanwhile, the Vampire is pushing into the Bravo Cap as the Petro is starting to get farmed by the Ragnar. This is one of the interaction that makes me sometimes annoyed at this game. Like when a destroyer is able to fight a cruiser like that without much to go by. Meanwhile, the Marceau and the Napoli are starting to work on the Moskva for Salsa, which is starting to hurt them. Salsa is still those 20,000 hit points down, which means they're pretty much even Stevens. Bourgogne is turning out here as the Henri is also turned out ready to kite. Vampire is able to take the Bravo Cap after the Marceau secured the Alpha Cap for MHG earlier. Big chunks on the Moskva. He could be going down here. His heal is down for 45 seconds. His damage control is ready, but he has to turn and start running away. However, a Napoli salvo right now, if he has AP loaded, could be deadly. Here comes the AP from the Napoli. Moskva is starting to turn out that might have been a little bit late, and it was. That was a couple of Citadels, down to 2,000, 1,700. Damage control is up. This Moskva is gonna go down for Salsa, and it's gonna be the second kill of the match to even out the score. Meanwhile, hit point wise, Salsa is now 25,000 hit points down. Ooh, somebody else gets chunked. They're even further down at this point. Napoli burns down the Moskva. That is huge because that gives a tremendous 150 point lead for MHG. Salsa is unfortunately seems to be starting to collapse a little bit here. Not ideal for them, but it is the way it goes. If you see, the only thing that has taken a big hit here is that Gearing, who is protecting the Vermont and doing a great job at it with Yu Yang pushing him. That Yu Yang has got to be that is a radar Yu Yang trying to catch back up to the Gearing, who does get radared by him. Meanwhile, the Henri is starting to work on that Vermont, who is down to a little bit over half health at this point in time. Vampire heading towards the Henri, which could be very dangerous. Henri is not something you necessarily want to fight as a destroyer. It does seem like he is going out. I don't know what... I'm not really liking this Ragnar play. He was in Viet, and I like that idea. He could have lived there and contested quite a bit, but now he's way out of the action. He can't spot for his team. He can't shoot at anything. Meanwhile, the Kremlin is starting to get burned down, I believe, by the Henri. Kremlin is having a fun day. Damage control is about to go up in 3 seconds. However, that was 3 fires burning on his deck. He does put them out, but he's still spotted. He does have that fast-acting damage control, but it's not going to help him if he's constantly on 2-3 fires. Kremlin down to 30,000 hit points, 35 seconds left on the heal, and his damage control is now down, so any fires that get set on him will stick. He does try to get shots out towards the Henri, but they seem to miss. And there you go. That's already a fire set by the Bourgogne. And this is bad. This could be a dead Kremlin. 20 seconds left for the heal, 18 seconds for the Damacon, and he only has 3 left. Ooh, this is disastrous. However, the Bourgogne is receiving the same treatment in return by the Marceau. Kremlin is getting dangerously low here. He's still burning. Damage control about to go down. He's got to use it. He doesn't have the hit point to let it burn. Shots coming across down to 4,000 and still burning. But his heal is up, so he will save his damage control for the next fire. Will this Kremlin go down? I believe it will. He just stops burning without the damage control, but that means that any fire he can put out instantly, which is going to be really, really big. The Napoli gets rid of the Bourgogne. That's a 1-ship lead. And however, the health has evened up. They are 400 hit points. God damn it, I keep on confusing hit points and points. But no matter, now MHD are 400 points ahead of Salsa at this point in time. With about the same hit points even, they are now 10,000 hit points down. Salsa is trading a lot better over at this 9-10 Charlie flank. And let's see what does this do. It does look like these are the 2 top teams on the group, however, so this is the match to be at. However, Vermont is now pushing in. Moskva is starting to take the heat for MHG, who is not currently burning. Kremlin is running for his life, and he's actually starting to turn in charge. I don't know. This is a big hunk of points that can keep them ahead in the lead. However, they are still those 400 points up, and now they are back up 7,000 hit points up on health as well. However, this Moscow is starting to get chunked. He is down to... how many heals? 2 heals. His damage control is ready. However, he is backing out of that. Meanwhile, the Petropavlov, the Golden Lou, is pushing through the middle. Broadside shots on the Vermont. That's going to start chunking the Vermont. Maybe not in one shot, but give it 2-3 salvos, and that Vermont could be dead. If nothing changes, Vermont is trying to aggressively push, trying to do something. Moskva does get taken down by the Vermont. That evens up the kills and buys Salsa a bit more time. Vampire does get radared by the Nevsky, who just popped his radar. He's right next to the Yu Yang. This is gotta be a dead Vampire unless the Vermont for MHG can do something. Gearing is also caught. Vampire is on fire. Damage control is down. He's smoking. but Yu Yang is spotted. They're still shooting. There you go. The vampire goes down. That evens up the score just a little bit by some more time. A 250-point lead still for the side of MHG. Salsa still trying to get into one of the capitals. Meanwhile, the Golden Lion does take care of the Vermont, with Henri getting chunked by what appeared to be some Vermont shells. This Henri has gotta be careful. He knows the Golden Lion is there. They just lost their Vermont to that. Henri does get rid of the gearing. Gearing also goes down. That leaves MHG with a single destroyer in this Marceau. Shimakaze getting into the cap. Marceau is still shooting at the Napoli, at the Henri, who now goes down. Shimakaze is in trouble. He doesn't have his smoke ready. He is low. He's trying to run away out of there as fast as he can. He does go dark. He doesn't shoot, but he can't contest the cap. 380-point lead now for the side of MHG with a 50,000 hit point lead. This is looking dire for Salsa at this point in time. Shells out from the Golden Lion on the Nevsky now, with HE shells going towards the Vermont. They're trying to do something about that. I think this is probably the kill they gotta be looking for at this point. Vermont is burning, single fire, no damage control, no heal. The Golden Lion gets rid of the Nevsky though. That brings them ever closer. 27 seconds until they win should things stay the same. However, Vermont is burning, and once again his heal is not ready for another 10 seconds. Can they get rid of him before that is the case? His fire does go out down to 6,000 hit points. Next salvo in from the Henri misses, only gets one shell. That's going to give Vermont time to get his heal out, and I believe that's going to be that. With 2 seconds to go, MHG takes this game number 5 to top group number 8, which was their group from Salsa. Righto. What a day. That was a fantastic games. Some fantastic games by all of the This game was a lot closer than we think. It could have gone either way, with that Kremlin dying earlier, with the Vermont dying. With somebody eating a torpedo could have flipped the game. That was definitely not an easy loss to take for Salsa, but it was a fantastic game. Great job by MHG to take that game. But anywho, that will unfortunately be that from me for today. I am pretty tired and I had to stay up quite late yesterday, so we will be calling it here. I might be back a little bit later, streaming a couple of games of my own, but I will for sure be back tomorrow. Thank you very much to everybody who tuned in. Thank you so very much. Thank you very much for all of the follows we had. We had like 10 follows or so just in today's stream, so that's always fantastic. Welcome everybody to the kitchen. That's it from me. Fire for today. Hope you had enjoyed your day. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.